Hey y'all, this is Axel at Cards, Tickets, Tunes, here to share with you the latest ticket sales. These are all ticket sales within the last 10 to 12 days. I got a new banner, as you can see, the Detroit Vintage Tigers tablecloth or something I found in my wanderings, 1987. So truly vintage. Got my Tiger hat too, of course. I am a huge Tiger fan. That's how I got into collecting in the first place. Actually, Detroit is the home of card collecting. Early tickets were produced and sold in that market more than any other market. So I grew up in the home of sports collecting paradise. So anyways, that's just a little value add. All right, I'm gonna jump into my tickets here, and I'm gonna do baseball, then football, basketball, hockey, and then if I have any oddball at the end. That's kind of my progression. I also like to go with the small tickets and move to the big, and then save some of the larger sales for the end. So you'll want to make sure you stay tuned to find out about those. Here we go. Number one, 1960 World Series Game 1. Of course, this was one of the most famous World Series of all time, ended in dramatic fashion with Bill Mazeroski's walk-off home run in the bottom of the ninth. It is a World Series debut because it's the first game that of the World Series, and it starred Mickey Mantle and Roberto Clemente. And so those two are some of the greatest stars in the history of the game, and highly, highly collectible. That ticket sold for $40. It's obviously missing the other half, which should come out to about here if you see a full ticket. This is just the tiny little stub at the end that someone kept, and I'm glad they did, because it's a great piece of history. Number one. Number two, moving from around the same size, you can see how these are really, really small. They were meant to be kept as, I guess some people don't realize this, but it used to be when you were given a ticket, they would give you the stub, and that's how you would get back to your seat. It's how you'd remember where your seat was. It's how you gain entrance back into the stadium. If the game were postponed or canceled because of rain, you could use it to get back into the game, so it served as a rain check. This is a ticket from the 1966 Orioles season. It was actually played in California against the Angels. And it's notable because the Orioles won the World Series that year. We've already talked about tickets from championship years being more valuable than others. And that's just makes sense, right? I mean, I'm a Tigers fan, so I have a special affinity for 1984 and 1968. Not so much for 1935 or 1945. I wasn't around then, but even those dates are kind of special in my collecting. So that's 1966 Orioles. Here's one from 1965. It's the Angels and the Red Sox, notable because it had Tony Conigliaro in it and Carl Yastrzemski. I think they both had hits, but no home runs, nothing fancy that I could find. Of course, there's always the chance that that something happened during that game that I'm unaware of and someone got a really good deal. That ticket sold for $12.50. And by the way, the Orioles ticket here sold for $20. $20. We're going to stick with another Orioles ticket. This is June 21st, and it's the Orioles against the Yankees. Notable because it was Don Mattingly's, I think maybe his 10th game, something like that. He had 2 hits. I think it's his first multi-hit game. It's his first game in Baltimore, so you could say that it's his Baltimore debut. Of course, you might also say, just to avoid confusion, it's his first game in Baltimore, because some people might mistake that with the actual debut, which would be worth, $1,000 to $2,000, depending upon the condition. This ticket sold for $40. It's kind of a poor man's debut. I like the idea of, if you have a favorite player, you'd want to have a ticket, the first game that person played in every major league stadium. So this is his Baltimore. Was it Camden Yards back in the day? I know it's Camden Yards now. I don't know what it is now, but that's a really, really neat ticket. It's also a Ripken Streak ticket. Of course, there are over 2,000 of those, but people are really serious about collecting Ripken Streak tickets. Moving on, we're going to go to Red Sox and Tigers. This is 19 I want to say it's 1965, 66, somewhere in that range. I forget the actual date. It's a Red Sox ticket. As you can see, it says Fenway Park. Sometimes it won't say the name of the team on the ticket, but it'll say the name of the stadium. So if you do a little research, you can, Metropolitan Stadium is where the Twins play. Fenway, of course, is where the Red Sox play. But other stadiums are a little more obscure, or they've been demolished and they don't have the same name anymore. So that's a little clue to finding out what the date is. This one actually has the date on the bottom there, as you can see. Oh, well, I don't need to be confused. It's 1968, which, as I mentioned earlier, is a very collectible ticket for Tigers fans. It's an away game, which is a little harder to find for Tiger fans who grew up during that era. They were able to go to the game. You couldn't travel to Baltimore or Boston or New York to catch every game. So if you're trying to put together a run of Tiger tickets from 1968, then those away games are a little bit more valuable. Sticking with the theme of championship years, this is 1957 Braves. Braves won the World Series in 1957. It's the only World Series that Hank Aaron won, and it's a Warren Spahn start as well. I don't believe he won the game. I think Aaron may have had a hit, but not a home run. That ticket went for, I think, $20, maybe a little bit more. Of course, if Aaron had a home run in it, then you're looking at $100 to $200. All right, we've looked at several of these Cubs tickets. Maybe you're starting to get used to the design just by looking at it after a while. It's kind of like, you see the matrix if you're flipping through items on eBay, and you don't need to look at the team name or the field. You're just like, oh, that's a Cubs ticket. And after a while, you can even identify the decade. This is a 1952 Cubs ticket, and I think it was against the Braves. And nothing notable. I think it was a Hank Sauer home run. He won the MVP that year. So that's an angle. It's all about the angles when you're selling tickets. Do your research and find something that sounds cool that someone out there is going to collect. Another Cubs ticket here. This is a 1983 Cubs ticket, Cubs at Wrigley, and it is against the Braves. I think this was a Dale Murphy home run. Dale Murphy is a popular player. I hope he makes it in the Hall of Fame. Of course, they seem to be, I don't want to offend anyone, but they seem to be lowering the standards a little bit for who's in the Hall of Fame. And I say that as a Tigers fan, with Jack Morris and Alan Trammell getting in, which I'm glad of. But 10, 15 years ago, that wouldn't have been possible. So this year, Todd Helton got in. Last year, Scott Rowland was pretty controversial. And, Harold Baines was controversial. So maybe that opens it up for Dale Murphy to make it in the Hall. I hope he makes it in. In my opinion, the more the merrier, because it makes cards and tickets more collectible if someone's in the Hall of Fame. Baseball again, larger vertical design, has a nice faded picture of Mariners home field. Was it Safeco? I don't know if it was that back then, but this is an Ichiro rookie year ticket. It's also a Barry Bonds home run. So that one went for, I think, $15. Got the nice Mariners logo on the back. Also has, a friend of mine pointed this out on the back. There's a rebate that if you hand it in, you get a certain amount off of a meal or something like that. So potentially that could make these more valuable because people would have handed them in and not kept the ticket. So not only is it likely that they didn't keep it in the first place or throw it away, also increases the likelihood that they don't still have it because they handed it in for $5 off of a hamburger. Here is a postseason ticket. Looks like 2001. This was, of course, the year that 9/11 happened. There's a famous game where George Bush throws out the first pitch, Yankee Stadium, the World Series, which I think the Yankees lost to the Diamondbacks, but he throws it, right down the middle, and the crowd goes wild. That ticket's several hundred, $500,000, depending upon condition and if it's graded. This is just a part of the playoff leading up to that series. Jeter, I think, had a hit, but not a home run, and it was nothing extremely notable, but really cool design. And anything Jeter is collectible. That went for, I think, $10. Speaking of the World Series, here is a 1993 World Series ticket. It is between the Phillies and the Blue Jays. This was, it's got a little damage. You can see there's a hole punched in it, and looks like it may have been stapled to a program, which is pretty common. And but it's complete, it's full, so it still has the stub there. A lot of times it's torn off, so that makes it more collectible. Nothing extremely notable, not like a Joe Carter walk-off home run or anything, which was, I think, in the 92 series, one of the most famous events in MLB history. This one sold for, I think, $18 plus $2 shipping, so $20. Again, we seem to be sticking with the theme here. This is another World Series season. Cardinals went to the World Series in 1968. Love this design. It's got the Busch Stadium there. It has the arch, has a really bold logo of the Cardinals there. It's a regular season game, nothing extremely notable. Probably a Lou Brock hit, and maybe I think there was a Mike Shannon home run. This ticket sold for, I think, $27.50 plus $2 shipping, so around $30 for this ticket. That's it for baseball. Let's move on to football, which is heating up a little bit because of the Super Bowl coming up next week. And several of the items that I sold were related to the teams that that are going to be appearing in the, or have been appearing in the playoffs or will appear in the Super Bowl. So here we go. This is Chiefs Colts. This was not an example of what I'm just talking about, but a nice, cool example of a ticket designed from 1976. That was the bicentennial year in the United States. So a lot of the tickets from that season have that theme if you're having a hard time dating it. Cardinals Colts, I think Burt Jones maybe threw a home run, something like threw a touchdown. And I think that one sold for $20. Game 9. Now, these next three are examples of tickets of a team that's in the Super Bowl. This is 49ers. This is from the, I think this is from the 80, I don't even know, 84, 85 season, something like that. They may have been in the Super Bowl. These 49ers tickets are really tricky because they have a very similar design between 1980 and 1990. And the only thing that really distinguishes is the price, maybe, the picture of the team, the number of the ticket, which will give you some clue. And yeah, sometimes how the seats are noted up here is different. Sometimes the font is a little different. The size of 49ers is a little different, but they're tricky. Best thing to do is get on completed items or use Terapeak. Sometimes Google Photos can help. Sometimes you can actually take your phone and search, and there's a little camera icon. You can hit the camera icon, take a picture of the ticket, and then it will use artificial intelligence to figure out all of those things. And it's really better at it than you are at first, and that will help you to find out the date. I think this one sold for $20. Again, another 49ers ticket here. This one is notable not only because of Jerry Rice and Joe Montana, but because Bo Jackson played in the game. Any Bo Jackson ticket is going to be collectible. He's one of the fan faves. This one sold for, I think, $30. Has that Raiders logo prominently featured, and yeah, that's a beauty. Again, another 49ers ticket. This is the 1989 NFC Championship. They went on to the Super Bowl after this and won, so it's a Super Bowl season. It's played in Chicago. You notice there's no date there, so this one can be a little tricky. It can be identified by the picture because the 88 NFC Championship Bears ticket would have been issued to season ticket holders. I don't think they went to the NFC Championship game, so there'll be a lot of phantoms from 88 and 1990, but the 89 one is the one that was played at Wrigley against the 49ers, and they can look very, very similar. So this one's tricky, but this is the 1989. Also, there's the fact that they'll sometimes say 1988 because it's the 88-89 season, and they don't always know at the beginning of the season when that game is going to be played. So they'll just say NFC Championship, and you can get confused pretty easily. This one sold for $60. That's the highest one so far, but I have some even higher ones coming up. That's football. Didn't sell too many football. Of course, baseball is going to be your favorite. We've talked. You're going to sell mostly baseball if you're selling all sports, and we've talked about that being a result from all of the statistics over the years with baseball. Football has a lot of tradition as well, so you sell a lot of football. And basketball has extremely passionate collectors, but maybe not quite as many. And then hockey's kind of hit or miss. So let's move on to basketball. Here we go. This is a Milwaukee Bucks ticket, and it's a playoff ticket, and it's game D. And boy, my mind is blanking. Let me check real quick. I don't want to tell you wrong here. Oh yes, this is a 1983 Bucks 76ers ticket. And notable because Julius Erving played in the game, also because the 76ers went on to win the NBA title that season. So people are going to want to collect a run of tickets from 1982, 83, because, well, that's the Sixers' only championship, unfortunately. And maybe they'll do it this year. They seem to be looking good with Maxey and Embiid. That one sold for $20. Another basketball ticket. Here's a Lakers Celtics ticket. One of the greatest rivalries of all time. Did not feature Bird or Magic Johnson. It was Kevin McHale's last game against the Lakers. So that was the angle that I took with this one, and convinced someone that was worth $15. So I was happy with that. Switching to hockey. Sold another one of these. I don't know if you remember me talking about this one. This is a Brian Leetch first goal, Madison Square Garden. I don't really know if I'm selling this to the same person over and over who's a huge Brian Leetch fan, or if it's just a really popular ticket. Sold this one for $50, which is right in the range where I sold all the other ones. I tried to sell it for a little more, listed it for $100, but the offers kept coming in, $45, $50. So that's probably the market value, which I'm more than happy to get $50 for this ticket. And last ticket before I talk about the two biggies. This is a Kings Jets ticket. This is a Wayne Gretzky ticket. You don't always, when you think of Gretzky, you probably think Oilers. Of course, he got traded famously to the Kings in '89, I think. Played for them several seasons and then went on to the Rangers. And I think he played for the Blues even for a season or a portion of a season. I think in this game he had an assist and or a point, and sold that for $15. Really nice design. Retro. All right, save the best for last. Okay, this is a 1981 opening day Detroit Tigers ticket. Anytime you see opening day on a ticket, you want to think, might be a debut. Of course, it might be the opening day for a team who played on the road for the first 5 games, so it's not always the very first game. In this case, it is. It's the first game that the Detroit Tigers and the Toronto Blue Jays played, 1981, and this happens to be a George Bell debut ticket. George Bell's not going to make the Hall of Fame, but he is a famous, one of the Toronto greats, and he won, I think he won the MVP, or he was up against Alan Trammell in the MVP race, I remember, in '87, and I think he lost out at the very end. But he had some great seasons. It was a home run hitter, fan fave. It's a good ticket, not a full, but not exactly a stub either. And I was able to get $100 for that one, which I've had that one listed for quite a while, so I was happy to get that. A lot of times people like to get debut tickets signed, and this would be a really nice one to get signed because of the size. You could find a really nice place to put the signature there, send it in, get it authenticated, get it slabbed, and now it's worth $300 or $400, depending upon who you're selling it to. So they're good investment items, especially if you plan to get them signed. Signed debut tickets are a thing. And then lastly, I think I mentioned a couple times in the past that I had some tickets out to get graded. They came back, and I have a video that I'm going to be posting of the unboxing with a couple of buddies of mine, and we're going to be talking about the tickets and sharing those. And I got them listed. If you want to check out my store, cards_tickets_tunes. Those are 3 things that I tend to sell: cards, tickets, and tunes. And so this order came out. I got them all listed and sold this one within an hour of listing it, which I was really happy to do. It is a 2001 Cardinals Diamondbacks playoff ticket. I think it's game 2 of the playoff series. The Cardinals did not go on to win the World Series. Diamondbacks did, so that makes it collectible. But what makes it really collectible is that Albert Pujols hit a home run in this, and it was his very first playoff home run. He ended up hitting 19 home runs in his career, which I think places him 4th or 5th all time. Manny Ramirez maybe has the record. Corey Seager is gaining on him, or maybe he passed him this year. And this one's really nice because it has that kind of dot matrix printer that they used to print off tickets, not at the beginning of the season, but when you went to the box office. And that ink has a tendency to fade or to not be printed very clearly in the first place, or it gets smudged, it gets worn off when people take it in and out of their pocket. So this is a really nice example of the ticket. Scored 7, a near mint 7, which is very rare for these kinds of tickets. Pujols hit over 700 home runs, I believe. So it's collectible for a number of reasons. Listed this for $600, and I got an offer pretty quickly for $500, and I took it. So really happy about that. If you want to see some more tickets, let's show the top there. You can see that it's verified. These are nice to get graded and verified and slabbed because it's hard to tell the date, and you don't want to get taken for a ride. You don't want to buy something that isn't actually a ticket to that event. So those are especially important to get graded so people are confident in what they're getting. All right. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show today. Hope you learned a few things. Hope you enjoyed my new Tiger banner here. And check back pretty soon to see the unboxing of the PSA tickets. Got some really cool ones there, and I'd love to share those with you. All right. Have a great day. Bye.